to the pressure of wearing hijab once you become a Muslim?
I
Sister
think,
Shelley.
yeah, for me, I did not have that. I guess I had that initial pressure only because, you're Muslim, right? And part of being a Muslim woman is wearing the hijab. Um, I was lucky, I guess, in the sense that the I worked, just like you said, with the stages, I I became a Muslim and I didn't wear the hijab for a while, but I would wear what we call the bun in the back for a couple of days. And I went to work, and some days I would wear the bun in the back, some days I wouldn't wear a scarf at all. And a lady, our older sister, came up to me and asked, she realized that I was Muslim and invited me. We befriended each other, and she would give me stuff about Islam. And she invited me to dinner. And when we went to dinner, she gave me a scarf because prior to that, I had one other scarf, which just to wear the hijab, because I did not know how to wear it. So I was just doing my best. So I
I
think many women.
apologize for the technical issues.
Are we? Should I sign out again? No, they're frozen.
Hello? I think I lost you guys in between.
Salam. I'm really
Alaikum
sorry about
assalam.
the technical issues. Unfortunately, we have
Yeah,
to connect again, and I hope that hasn't disrupted too much. I just want to continue to say that we were describing that coming into Islam and wearing hijab is a transition, and it does take time. So, what more can you advise a new Muslim when they're coming into the religion? Because it is a responsibility. And yes, when you wear the hijab, you are putting yourself out there in a particular way. So it's a lot, not just from your family to accept it, because not as you are born Muslim, sometimes it can be a little bit easier, even with the struggles that it can be the support. It's normal because you are probably in an environment that you are around Muslims. What about yourself? Like when you are thinking about advising new Muslims who are coming into the religion, and what would you tell them in order to guide them, Shelley, from your own experience with regards to, putting on the scarf, even though it is an obligation? How about it in the best way? Actually, doing it with confidence and self-esteem, and going to actually be able to face whatever stress you're having.
I think the most important, and I have a younger daughter, I have a daughter, and the most important thing is to make sure that she understands or they understand exactly why they're doing it, to be kind to themselves. So not to worry about the outer, what other people think. Remember that you're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And and for sure the most important thing is to have the support system, so even if the sister wants to wear the scarf or not, it's between her and God, not between anyone else, so we all have to support her. And I think that was the thing that made it easy for me, is that I had support system from my family. Everyone in my mom encouraged it. During that time, they weren't, you couldn't walk into a store and get a scarf. So she sewed, and she sewed me up a scarf. So she made it very easy
Wow.
for me. Um, and I think as long, and also for the remaining, for Muslims, I think we have to also be kind to people, because we don't know where everyone is. So many times, you'll see someone in the masjid and they may not have the scarf put on correctly, but you have to be kind to them, because your comment could turn them away. And I mean, as a new Muslim, I received, quite a few comments, and it doesn't help. I think we're getting it from the outside world, outside of Islam, and we are getting it from even inside. So everyone, just especially those within our community, have to support us and understand that we do this on different levels. So converts or non, you got to meet us where we are.
That's a very important point, and I come across that again and again. Sister Uzma, what is your thoughts on that? Because when there's so much judgment when you are wearing a hijab, and especially when it is an expectation from your own community, and especially when they can see a new Muslim, and or even generally as Muslims, when you are judged for the way in which your attire is on surface. What is your thoughts on that, Sister Uzma?
I think it's such a valid and wonderful point that Sister Shirley brought up, because this is one thing that we really got to understand as a community. Judgments are something that is we're plagued with it in our community, and it's not just about hijab. It's just about literally any topic you touch. You're gonna find a plethora of judgment that's just showered upon you, and and if you're not somebody who's in the right frame of mind, could very well start with all of those, start labeling yourself all sorts of things, and I think it can turn into something quite nasty very quickly if we're not careful. So we just have to be so careful and mindful. And I think what also happens is we tend to forget our own journeys as we progress, and as we come into whatever we've come to, and we get to this place of holier than thou attitude, and we think we know it all now, and it's just this chip on your shoulder, and you can tell the whole world how to operate and how to live and how to do whatever they need to do in their life. And I think we need to take a step back and take a breath and just tell people, stop telling people and just allow the journey to take place. And there is a place, and there is a time, and there is a way. And I think it is so important for us to understand that these three things need to be really combined together, because the message behind the hijab is absolutely stunning. Not only physically, it's stunning in every sense of the word. And I think we need to embrace that beauty rather than allowing it to become something that's stopping us from making that progress. I mean, one of the recollections I have as a child, and this, I mean, I wasn't going to share my story, but seeing as we're talking about pressure, and that's where we cut off, I think it's really important point. But when I was a kid, and this was an Eid day actually on here in the UK. It was my first Eid in the UK, and I remember going outside across the road to get something, maybe chocolates. I'm sure it was junk food. And my father had been to the mosque to pray Eid prayers, and he came back and he saw me across the road, and I waved at him and came back. And as I came into the door, the front door, he was actually waiting for me at the door. And he had his hands out like this, and he put his hands on my face, and I thought he was going to kiss me on my forehead because it's Eid day. And but he kind of rotated me to the wall behind me, and he literally just hit my head behind on the wall, and he said to me, and he came really close, and he said to me, this is a message to say, never let this slip away again. And that was his way of, because he didn't articulate it in the way that it should have been articulated. And I'm not blaming him, because there was no such thing as parenting. He did what he thought he needed to do to protect me as his daughter. But the message has to be given in such a good way that it doesn't get deformed along the way. I remember that very day hating hijab. I remember feeling, when I get into a stage where I can make a decision for myself, I would never wear this thing on my head. And I now, somebody could say to me, every ounce of wealth that there is in this whole wide world, and everything Bill Gates owns, he gives it to you, and you can have it, and just for one moment of your life, take it off. And I would never ever agree, because this is my dignity, this is my respect, this is my beauty, this is my everything. So nobody can take it away from me. But because I understand the essence now, it's a different ballgame. And nobody has had to tell that to me anymore. I've had to learn it myself. And I think we as mothers and we as ambassadors of our faith have to own this. It's a responsibility not to make it a difficult journey, rather take a step back and allow people in and dignify it and beautify it, rather than make it something that's such a difficult transaction and transition into hijab.
Wow, thank you so much, Sister Uzma, and especially for sharing. It is not easy. I only ask people to come here to share their insights, and it's my absolute honor and pleasure to have you share your personal story, which for a lot of people can be really traumatic to even revisit. And I can understand that, you know, these things do play upon us even as you speak as an adult. So that's why it's so important to share this kind of information. It's vital that when you are looking at struggle, it is something that have a lot more ways of dealing. Okay, I really do apologize again for the technical issues. I do apologize for the technical. It has been some power cuts. We are operating from a different channel tonight, so hopefully we will continue, but with less sort of interruption.
Uh-oh.
I really do apologize again for the technical issues. There have been some electrical cuts in certain areas, so we are operating from a different sort of platform. But we have highlighted some really important issues and topics right now with regards to hijab. The one thing I do want to say, though, hijab is not just a material that we need to consider. Hijab is more than that. It's also our manners, and it does come on to our way of being and the character. So while we get Shelley back on, Uzma, can you maybe highlight a little bit more about the deeper meaning towards hijab? Then we always just consider it being for women only, and just for the fact that it has to be, our headscarf. I mean, hijab is definitely more than that.
Absolutely. I think hijab is an again to the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can you hear me, Sister Fahima? I think we lost Sister Fahima again.
I think she might be frozen. She might be frozen.
She was talking about the hijab being more than just a piece of material, a cloth that we use for or just to cover our heads. And I think it's a really valid point, especially when we're on such an important topic. It is really important to just highlight the depth of hijab within Islam, and I think that it's
Okay, we are back again. I'm gonna have to unfortunately end a little bit early because of the technical issues. And like I said, we have got some power cuts in certain areas. That's why we're having this, unfortunately, due to the weather and some sort of technical issues. But as you were saying, Sister Uzma, that hijab is more than just the outward appearance.
yes, that's right. I can understand that you've got to, but I just wanted to say that.
Technical issues, and unfortunately we are not able to get our guests back, but hopefully we will understand that this is absolutely an issue that we do need to consider. Shelley, do you have any final words before the end? Because we did highlight quite a few things, but unfortunately because of the power cuts, we're unable to continue with the show for much longer. So I would like you to have some final words before we end, please.
Okay. I think the most important is what we touched on is that we have to be kind and respectful to everyone, regardless, because we don't know which point they're at. We want to make sure, especially